much for tuning in. This is another part of our week-long 10th anniversary celebration. I am joined by my dear friend, one of my favorite podcasters, one of my favorite shows, one of my favorite people, Audrey, alone at the table, Lady Tabletop. Thank you so much for sitting down with me to go through some audience questions. How are you doing, my friend?
I am doing so well. Thank you for having me, Jeff, and congratulations on 10 years. Obviously, that's like huge. I can't fathom. I can't fathom it.
I can't either is the thing, and I've been there the whole time. Like, I keep saying, like, it will sink in, and like I'm 5 episodes into this thing, into this like celebration after hitting the 10-year mark, and like it hasn't yet. So like maybe it just won't.
You never know. Maybe it's just going to keep feeling like, well, I've just been doing this. And then you'll look at the calendar and suddenly it'll be 20 years, right?
Fingers crossed. Like, we're going to do it until it stops being fun, and it hasn't stopped being fun yet. So,
awesome.
Rock and roll.
Yeah, this is cool. We got a lot of really good questions, both in the Discord and on Blue Sky. So I know a lot of people love the show just as much as you and I do. So let's talk about it.
Here's the thing. It meant a lot to get actual questions. And in addition to the ones that I did ping my friends and say, hey, if you want to if you want to throw some kindling on the fire, it would be appreciated. And I do want to get to some of those kindling questions, but it also felt good that actual questions came through.
Well, okay, let's start with like a really, really important question, I think.
Of course.
Go Birds.
Go Birds. Go Phils. Go Flyers. Go Phils should be lower on that list, honestly, but Flyers. Go Sixers. Honestly, Sixers and Phils should swap places based on both the World Series and apparently an unbeaten rec. Like, I don't think anybody saw that coming. And also go Abbott Elementary.
Yeah, go Abbott Elementary. That's a great one to throw in there.
It feels like a really essential piece. Honestly, based on how they did in the postseason, the Phils might get relegated. We'll see how I feel about it as the months go on.
We'll have to keep a close eye on them.
Yeah.
Okay, so just fun to start us off.
Yeah.
But we can kind of start with, there's a question from Alex on Blue Sky that asks, was there a particular point where you thought, yes, this podcast has legs?
Pretty early on, honestly. Like, I think it's the first episode where I really sat down and thought, oh shit, we're doing something like special and unique and different was probably like, we played 14 Days with Hannah Schaefer, and I think that was episode 7, maybe. Maybe even that decision may have been even a little earlier than that, though, because like we recorded 3 episodes as a like proof of concept, and I had fun with them. And there's about a month break, and in that month break was us kind of having Jen and I having the conversation like, hey, do we like this? Like, I think that this might be something we want to run with. And then we kind of transitioned into a weekly schedule, and we said, we're going to go until it gets to be exhausting, and then we're going to stop doing weekly. And here we are 10 years later. Which is like an ongoing thread of just, we said we would start doing the thing until we got bored, and here we go. But probably like in those, I think the first few episodes that we played, the first few games that we played that weren't, you can kind of hear in the show, I think, in the early episodes of me trying to be like the shows that had inspired us. Like, you can hear me trying to do James D'Amato in One Shot and like trying to like be a fun, goofy comedy podcast in that Adventure Zone vein. And like when we stop doing that, which is around episode like 7, 10 in that area, and really get into like spaces that are weird and different and interesting and get into these weird emotional experiences, I think that's when it kind of clicked with me that I was like, oh, there's something interesting happening here that isn't happening on a lot of other shows that I'm hearing. And then like it just kind of continued to evolve from there as we kept finding beats that felt uniquely Party of One.
Oh, that's awesome. I think it's amazing that you kind of realized early on that you had something special. it's nice because Party of One is still really special, I think, to a lot of people. So
it's changed a lot. Like, I think if you asked me 5 years ago what I could point to and say what's the thing that we do that is unique and beautiful, I think I'd give you a completely different answer. And I think that's part of what has brought us to the 10-year mark, is that, you know, every few years, every 2 or 3 years, Jen and I have the conversation of, like, not just like, are we still having fun, but like, what do we want out of the show now? Or what are we getting out of the show, and how do we get that experience?
That makes sense. And we did have someone who actually asked about, like, what would you say, what's different 5 years ago versus 10 years now? What do you hope it'll look like at 15, 20 years? You know? Yeah.
It's a great question. Like, I think, like, the biggest thing I could point to each of those, like, I think a little bit of, like, how I would describe the show, or like where I would place the show, or what I would put the show in conversation with, is the thing that I think has changed in each of those intervals. Like, if you'd asked me 5 years ago, I'd have said we were a, like, storytelling fiction anthology show doing a bunch of different storytelling genres through the medium of 2-player role-playing games. If you'd asked me like 3 years ago, I'd have really said we were, like, you know, 3 years ago, like, if you'd asked me what I'm getting out of the show, I'd have said it's like examination or critique, or almost adjacent to a games journalism space of exploring games and the people who play them, and understanding, like, the ways in which play is informed, and the way that which we unlock those play experiences. If you'd asked me like 8 or 9 years ago, I'd have said, like, this is a showcase that you can play games with 2 people. And I think the answer now is really understanding that it's about, that the show at its core, what I'm getting out of the show, and this answer might change in 2 years, is getting to know people through the experience of playing a game with them, and getting to see how people act when they are in that creative space, where those creative impulses are allowed to run wild, and where you are in that pure space of play, which is something that we all kind of get towards in different capacities. And I mean, I hope that the cop-out answer is, I hope in 5 years the answer is it's fun and I like it. But I think the more accurate answer is, like, I hope that my understanding of the show and what it's doing continues to evolve. And, you know, and whatever I say in 5 years, I hope that I'm able to look at the show and be like, yeah, you know, what we were doing at the 10-year mark is valid, but, like, we've also come to understand it in a different context as well.
I think that's great because, you know, you don't want to stagnate. So it's interesting to see how it's grown, and how you and Jen conceive of the show at these different points. I definitely like the way that you've been talking about Party of One in the last year or so, about being kind of a nonfiction AP. So it started a lot of interesting conversations, I think, with people. And I just think it's a really good conversation to be having. What are we getting out of this? And I'm
really excited about that. Honestly, like, seeing people, like, we are recording this in the middle of the Dice Exploder AP series, where Sam is, like, really deeply examining, like, the intersection of fiction and nonfiction AP, and the episode that dropped this week about Last Train to Brooklyn, which is truly one of my favorite APs that has ever existed. And I mentioned this on the Dice Exploder Discord, is, like, a prime example of the furthest opposite end of the spectrum, to, as I see it, is, like, if Party of One is really rooted in conversation with these kinds of nonfiction shows, I think Last Train to Brooklyn is pushing that in the furthest opposite direction of being like, no, this is a theater production. Like, we're in a space and we're playing.
Experimental theater for sure. It's a great production.
It fucks so hard.
It's
and, like,
so good.
And, like, that to me is so exciting, to see something that is so confidently, like, we are coming at this art form from opposite angles and seeing what we get. I think it's both pushing in different opposite directions, but expanding the field of what it can be in ways that are chef's kiss.
Yeah, it's a huge spectrum, and I think that you and the Last Train to Bremen folks are really innovating in it, which is great. We had a question actually about you talking about Party of One as a, quote, game show as showcase for personalities similar to Dropout, but more with TTRPGs. And so I actually don't have written down who asked this question, but they were wondering what episodes kind of gave you that aha moment before you started talking about Party of One as like nonfiction interview space?
I have the Discord in front of me. I had to go look. That was from Steph.
Thank
Steph,
you.
Friend of the show. Great question. To me, like, I think there were a few. It's funny because, like, I think in some respects, this was something that kind of formed outside of the show and then kind of came into it. But I can point to there's one episode that I have been pointing to as like, this is where it really fully clicked into place of like how that will work or like what that could be, which was the episode. Let me get the episode number because like there's like a specific moment where it really like snapped into place for me. And that would be 430, episode 438, Marvelous Mutations of Merry Musicians with Aaron Joy is
so good.
Great episode. I think this episode really like encapsulated to me like what the show could be in its modern iteration in no small part because like Aaron had never played a role-playing game before. Like that was his first experience and I got a DM afterwards that said, hey, I think I'm addicted to this kind of storytelling. And like getting to experience somebody who has no preconceptions of play, who is truly like, I'm here for the experience. I'm here to have a conversation really about my work and about the podcast that I've made and my experiences, and watching that filter through play and watching his personality and his story and his predilections kind of like take shape the story that we told is the thing that really kind of elevated me to kind of see, and like it kind of forced a retrospective going back and kind of contextualizing the episodes and the style of episodes that really like went the hardest and going, oh, I think I see what we're doing here. I think I see the energy that's working really effectively.
That's awesome. I really enjoyed that episode. I thought it was great. And I always love the episodes where it's someone who's like, oh, I've never played before. Or, oh, I have very little experience. So you get to kind of see them get comfortable in that space over the course of the episode. It's my favorite. I realized how much I love, like, not only like teaching games, but teaching play and like kind of showing, like getting people to that space. It's beautiful. It hits. It's really, really fun. So on that note, Andrew, friend of the show, friend of ours, he asks... Well, friend of yours, let's be clear. Sorry, I forget how many vendettas you have going, you know? There's a couple, admittedly. I think a normal amount for 10 years. That's true. For 10 years, that's really not that bad. But anyway, Andrew, friend of mine, he asks, what makes you, or what have you found makes for a good guest? Like, what qualities do guests bring to the table that help make a good episode? Truly, I think, like, the biggest thing, and I think, like, the nature, the challenge of these retrospectives is to be vulnerable and to own things. I think, like, the biggest thing for me is being here for the experience and not being here for the interview, being here for the conversation, being here for the moment, not being here for what comes after. Like, not being here for the end result. The ones that I've always felt like didn't hit the mark, and I think this one of the biggest changes of the show the last year is like we've really, I would say, and I say this with the acknowledgement of never say never, and there will absolutely be exceptions to this at some point, but like I would say 99% of the time, like we are not going forward booking a game designer to play their own game. And what I've realized is like a lot of the episodes that I would point to, both the episodes that like I think have underperformed, if I put on my numbers brain hat, but also the ones that like I would point to as not having that Party of One spark to them, are the ones where a game designer comes in and says like, I'm going to give you a tech demo of my cool new product,
let me talk to you about why this is amazing. And it's like, it makes it harder to be here in the now and harder to be in the conversation when your brain is focused on like, I've got to move, like this has to be an asset to move product. And so like that to me is the thing that I've really come to as like, okay, like even if we are talking about a thing and promoting a thing and like doing this intentionally and professionally, like the goal is to be here and is to be excited and to make the conversation exciting as possible.
That makes perfect sense to me. And I think it's hard, right? It's hard to exist in a world where the market has to drive so much, especially if you're trying to make a career out of this. But I love the episodes you have where you pair a guest with a game that I wouldn't have expected, or especially one that I've never heard of, is really exciting.
That to me is really where the magic lives, right? I think like finding, and I think like that, you know, if we're thinking about Party of One as an interview show, like that's a big place where the interview happens, is being able to say, hey, I see you, I see your work, I see like you, I see your work, I see what makes all of these things interesting to me. Here is a venue or like an avenue through which we're going to talk about it. And like we're going to play a game, but like here's the avenue that we're going to use to explore your work and examine it in a way that is unexpected.
Yeah, that makes sense. And related, so Marn actually submitted a question. Marn is your co-host on your other podcast, Bump in the Night. Everyone should listen to Bump in the Night. Batman
That's great.
fan fiction.
I love Bump in the Night. it do be midnight in Gotham City is the thing.
I'm really excited for the next episode, and I'm not going to go on a huge tangent about Bump in the Night, but you guys should really listen to Marn and Jeff play Bump in the Night because it's freeform. And it is truly storytelling at its finest. You two just have a lot of joy.
It hits real hard. It is. It really is. It's great to just have a thing it's great to have like a space for real, just like no stakes play where I am playing for an audience of my friend Marn and also my friends and wife that I get to gush about and be like, hey, what about this cool Batman thing that we just did? Isn't this sick? And that's the end goal. It's the best feeling in the world.
Really, really self-indulgent and so fun and so good. But Marn asks, so what are the considerations when it comes to finding a game that like quote unquote works with a specific guest? How are you making those matches?
This is where the work of the show happens. Like this is where the sausage of the show gets made. Because, like, I get a lot of information from the guests, both, like, what they're promoting, what we're talking about, like, what their work is. I also get in the guest form that I give guests, like, what movies do you like? What stories do you like? What excites you? What are your hobbies? What are you excited about? And then it's about finding a game that speaks to all of those things in a unique and interesting way. Things like a specific within that, like the first and foremost consideration is always, you know, does this match the guest's vibe? Does it match the things they've told me that they like? Does it match the things they're excited about? And does it is it in conversation with their work in a fun and interesting way? I found games with like a very low prep barrier really like in the modern iteration of the show really stand out or make the work of the show a lot easier. If we can get to the big play parts of play, like if we can get to the good stuff quickly, we've played a lot of Descended from the Queen games in the last year because it's very easy to be like, okay, great, we're just answering questions and we're world building. But think games where I can quickly get into the meat of it are good, especially as I'm recording with a lot more guests who like don't know or don't have time to do a lot more like pre-prep stuff. That's been a big consideration, is like, is this going to fit into my guest's schedule in a way that respects their time? Because I found that like we just won't have enough time to like make a detailed character and then also play a satisfying story that speaks to their work in a fun way.
That's a lot to keep in mind when you're matching guests with games.
It takes work. I mean, that, like I said, this is, you know, I'm very lucky in that, like, I don't have to write interview questions or determine conversation topics or do like a lot of fact finding on the guest for like a proper interview. I'm not doing the Sean Evans go through their Instagram stuff, but like the work that I do is really like taking all of these considerations and going like, what game is going to facilitate this conversation in a way that is gonna hit hard within an hour? Like, we've got 90 minutes. How are we gonna make sure that 90 minutes includes an hour of us getting to that lighthearted play place?
You're like a game sommelier.
Game sommelier is the phrase that I've been really leaning on, and it fills me with a really deep joy.
That's excellent. So there's a lot of questions kind of related to this. Like, are there games that you want to do, but you haven't been able to do yet on Party of One?
Specific games? There are like a handful. Nothing like immediately. Let me look at my list. I've got the lists of the games that people have sent me. I've also got a lot of games that like I've got plans for. A thing that I've run into a lot is like I have a game and I have to find the right person to play it with. And like that's been a thing I've been trying to figure out how to like narrowly like thread the needle on for a long time, and like figure out how to like not just pitch a guest on the show, but pitch a guest on. There's a really wonderful 2-player game, Love Is on the Cards, which is a 2-player rom-com game, and like how to pitch a guest on like, hey, your work is in conversation with rom-coms. Here's a game about rom-coms. Can we play this game on the show? Like that's, I think, the next thing that I need to figure out how to include in a pitch, and I think that's that's part of it. And generally, there's a lot of games that fall into that space, which are this game fucks. I'm gonna find a guest to fit it. This did come up in the conversation with Alex. One genre that has weirdly never been on the show is like a medical drama. And that's one where I'm like, it's very surprising. And it's one that like somebody asked me about years ago. And I was like, I've never really found the guest in game combo to like do this one genre. It was the one time I got fully beat on my social media. Give me a genre and I'll give you a Party of One episode game. It was the one time where I really went, I don't got anything. You win.
Jeff, you got to get a doctor on the show.
I got to get a doctor on the show. I think that's the play. I think as long as they don't feel like they're at work, which is a challenge that we've run into sometimes, is like I've pitched a game and had the person be like, yeah, I can't do this. This feels like I'm at work.
Yeah, I understand that for sure. Is there, so kind of adjacent, are there games that you think are like too difficult for this format, like fitting into a 2-player audio medium?
A thing that I've run into like as challenging over the years is it's always the one that's always a struggle, and like we've found a ways around it over the years, but like the two big directions that can be challenging are if a game is or I guess even three is like if the game is like very, very physical in the sense of like a component or like set of components is extremely important, and like board gamey role-playing games like Fall of Magic is like a difficult one to work out how to do on the show if I'm not like in a room with someone, because like a big part of that game experience is like you have the map that you are unfurling, and like how to convey that to the audience is challenging on its own right. The other one is also relevant to Fall of Magic is like if a game, like there's the obvious limitation of like if a game is really specifically about like being in a location or like is tied to being like in the same physical space as you and your guest, it means that I'm limited to people that I can be in the same physical space with. And like the third is, rules complexity is like if the more time we're spending talking through rules and understanding the mechanisms of play, the less time we're in the play conversation, and that can be challenging. The fourth, and I think this culminates with 3 of the 4 categories descending into one game, is games, especially in sort of the like artistic lyric game space, that require like social experience or like location in like a public setting way. All of which is to say, Audrey, the ultimate answer to your question is a game that was written in 20 17 called When You're Here, Your Family by a guy named Jeff Stormer. It's very difficult to make that game happen on a podcast, let alone Party of One, because you have to go to an Olive Garden and wear lav mics and hope that you don't get kicked out of an Olive Garden.
But getting kicked out of an Olive Garden is what makes you family, Jeff.
You know what? It would be a true family experience if it did at one point involve, hey, you gotta go the fuck outside. Get out. That would make me feel more like family.
So, like, the flip side of that coin, which Michael on Blue Sky asks, is there any particular design feature that makes games work really well for Party of One? Mechanics, structures, book layouts, etc. Things that have become favorites for you. You talked a little bit about this, like Descended from the Queen games.
Descended from the Queen, I think, is a really good example. Any game that has very, like, conversation starter mechanics. Games with, like, a shared world building. Brindlewood Bay, Apocalypse Keys. Games that are very much like, here's the setup. Talk about what happens now. Like games that like really throw you into that space. Powered by the Apocalypse generally does this well in terms of, hey, here's a thing that happens. Describe it. Talk about how your character reacts to it. Like things like that. I think we've been finding a lot of success with GM-less games. I think GM-less mechanics, things that like allow you to share that spotlight, because this even goes back to the earliest interviews, conversations, like iterations of the show of strictly being about two-player. The what happens when you play a game with one person is like we both have the spotlight on ourselves and on each other the entire time, and so ways to facilitate the sharing of that spotlight. GM mechanics that are in that Powered by the Apocalypse vein, where I can very easily, in belonging outside belonging terms, grab a playbook and make a move. Like I can very easily look at a list and say, here's what happens, here's how it reacts, here's where we go. All of those things, Descended from the Queen has a lot of those. Those are the things that force us into that conversation space and like leave gaps for describe how a thing happens, bring something into the conversation, like color the world, own a piece of the narrative. All of that stuff makes for a good conversation and makes for a good Party of One episode.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Kind of having your onboarding baked into the game instead of being like a lengthy pre-process.
Yeah. Quick character generation, or like character generation that is itself a sort of game, becomes very, very fun and viable, because you get into a space where you can be like, we're going to make the characters and that's going to be the episode and that's going to fucking rule. Like that itself becomes a viable option when we have like a set of prompts to character creation where you're like answering questions and building a world together. It opens up play in unexpected ways.
That makes sense. I'm so glad you brought up characters, because it gives me a perfect segue into the next question, which is from Hungry Badger in the Party of One Discord. There have been a great many characters created in Party of One episodes. Are there any favorites that still live rent-free in your mind to this day?
Champ and Crowbar love each other very much is the thing. I believe that is Party of One episode 123. One of my favorite games is to see how close I can get when I'm talking about a particular episode. I believe Starcross with Alex Roberts is 123.
Is that
correct? Nailed it.
That's
verbatim.
So
Crushed it.
That was a really good episode.
Good episode. Really really one of my all-time favorites. I have a real, Jeff said, I promise I am not a parody of myself, Jeff said, as he is about to say the words. The wrestling characters are the ones that really stick in my brain. It is the most Jeff answer to say the wrestling characters stick in my brain a lot, and also the superheroes stick in my brain a lot, because those are the genres that my brain is just constantly living in. Gosh, I can't even. I have to look this up. This is one I have to look up. But like, played a game of Masks with Rich Howard in like 2017, maybe. This would have been, this was 2018. Ballistic is like a teen character that had been turned into like a living weapon arsenal. Deliberate shades of a character that has been blowing up, that has come up several times in the writing Discord that we're both in, that I deeply hold true, which is Guy Gardner in the 1990s when he lost the Green Lantern ring and became an alien with the ability to generate weapons from his flesh. Mm-hmm. A character that I and I alone am deeply not normal about is that era of Guy Gardner. But like, that's a character that I was like, man, I could play a lot of stories with this specific particular character. And like, I'm so glad that we got it in one game, but like, I could really make a meal of playing various teen superhero stories with that character and doing similar things of like a lot of the superhero characters, a lot of the wrestling characters all kind of live in that space of, boy, I wish I had more spaces to put this character into things.
Yeah, Hungry Badger mentioned specifically Slimy McKeelberg.
Slimy McKeelberg is the first ever character featured on Party of One. I'm saying this as a regret and also like setting my sights on making this happen. If not for next anniversary, for like an earlier special episode at some earlier point. The timing of it just did not work out. But WrestleMania, Symphony of the Fight is crowdfunding right now, or just wrapped up its crowdfunding campaign around the time we were going to have our 10th anniversary. And like, we were both too busy to make it happen, but I wanted to bring Noah Houlihan back so badly to do Slimy McKeelberg as the first character ever to be on Party of One in a new game, in a new story 10 years later, where he has to fight Mega Dracula. It just didn't happen, but I'm voicing this desire into the universe. Noah, if you listen to this, shoot me a text message and we'll make something happen.
Everyone hold Jeff accountable for this.
Please hold me accountable to this. I very rarely invoke this, but like, please at me. If it's been like a year and you're like, yeah, this never happened, like at me. Please.
You've come up with a lot of great characters on this show. Your guests have come up with a lot of great characters. Honestly, it's always fun to see kind of where other people's heads go, especially with games that like I've played before, right?
Yeah.
It's really interesting.
The other character that lives rent-free in my head, and I think it's because I gave them a sound effect, is the Magical Pony Butterfly by Crazy Town. That's the one that lives really, really deeply rent-free in my head. As, like, I think, honestly, a historic moment in actual play, if I'm being 100% honest.
I would say yes. I would agree. I think I think that's perfectly fair. Like, your influence on actual play cannot be overstated.
For listeners, you really, if you're wondering, for more information, go check out episode 311. And I know this because it's 311. The My Little Pony RPG Alex Perlman found in his house when he moved in.
I have a friend who runs that regularly at conventions. Is hired too.
Okay, so this is I have been sworn to secrecy over what the game is, but like Ooh. I've had to specify it is not the game, the My Little Pony RPG that Alex Perlman found in his house when he moved in, which is like 100% true sentence, the context of which is my dear friend Alex moved into a new house and was cleaning that house and found a single page printout of the rules of a fan-made My Little Pony RPG.
Oh, not the official one.
Not the official one. This was a fan-made My Little Pony role-playing game. We bleeped out the title on the show because I was like, I don't want it to feel like I'm calling out somebody's like labor of love fan fiction game from 10 years ago, but like that's such an insane situation to be like, I have found a fan made My Little Pony role playing game in my house when I moved in.
Interesting, and honestly feels really like serendipitous for the show.
And that's the thing,
feels like appropriate.
It was it's one of those situations where like Alex and I talked about this before we recorded. Like the story is, I walked into his house for his housewarming and he puts a hand on my shoulder and he goes, "Jeff, we need to immediately go. I need to show you the treasure." And he walks up and he hands this to me and I'm like, okay, I don't know what he's showing me. And he hands this to me and he's like, "Look at this." And I start reading it, and he's like, I found this waiting for me in my house. Like, this belonged to the person that lived here before me. And they just left it on a bookshelf. Like the Ring tape is the best way to describe it. And so we both kind of had this moment of like, we are two of the only people in the world. Like the odds that somebody moves into this house at this moment, finds this sheet of paper and immediately understands what it is so slim. And
it's a real Jumanji moment.
It's a real Jumanji moment of like looking at it and going like, oh, this is a Jumanji. And then like we both kind of looked at it and immediately went, the opportunity to be the one person to play this game on a podcast is simply like, I am the only person who is going to be in a position to see that and go, I have a podcast where we could play that tomorrow. And so like that was one of the greatest experiences in 10 years of making the show. And like we bleeped the name of the game on the episode because like I was like, the joy, the fun, the joke of this episode is not the game itself. The joke and fun of this episode is that a crazy thing has happened. Like an utterly inexplicable thing has occurred and we found this artifact. The fun of the episode is that we found a weird artifact. It is not the contents of the game itself.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. And you guys had a blast playing it too, obviously.
Oh my god, it's the best. It's real good.
Okay, so guest-wise, we've talked about a few guests that you've had. We've talked about how you're matching guests to games. The people need to know. Andy from the Discord asks, if you could invite any historical figure onto Party of One, who would it be and what games would you offer them?
I thought simultaneously a lot about this question and also not at all because the answer like so immediately came to mind, which is like, I think if you were to put me in front of one like historic figure being somebody that there is like zero chance that I could book at this moment, which to me kind of means that they're dead because as long as they're out there, like I was reading it
as they're dead.
I got an outside chance if they're alive. So like if I could play a slightly horny science fiction game with Jack Kirby, I think that would be the greatest podcast experience in the world. Like, I think he would feast upon it. Like, I think if it was just a little bit out of pocket, but also just like big world building vibes, and it was just like make up a science fiction thing, I think he would have a lot of fun with it. I think it would be a little bit antagonistic. It would be a little bit listening to somebody try to understand a language that they don't speak. But I also think like he would get into the spirit of it in a way that would be very, very fun.
Yeah, I think that would be great. Jack Kirby is a great choice. I should have anticipated that.
It's the only answer that truly to me makes sense. And like, you know, there's the obvious answer of like you pitch Jack Kirby a superhero game because he's one of the preeminent superhero guys of all time. But like as a fourth world New Gods sicko, like the things that Jack Kirby really gravitates towards in my mind, or that makes me like excited to read Jack Kirby's work, is he gets really into like a big weird machine, and also he loves Big Barda a normal amount. And so like those are the things that I would want to talk about.
A normal amount, sure, yes. Okay, so Jack Kirby, out of the question. But who's your dream guest, person who's alive? And I'm going to append this to Chris from Blue Sky, who asked this question. I'm going to append what game would you match them with? And obviously, don't talk about this if this is someone you have booked or pitched, because you can keep it a surprise for us.
Yeah, no, for sure. So there are people that I have there are dream guests that I have outreached to. So like putting aside people that I've at least emailed their publicist and said like at some point I would like to make this happen. People that I think are like out of my reach. The immediate one that comes to mind is like pitching some degree of like, the first one that immediately comes to mind, and this has been the one that I've stated for years, and like it's not entirely off the table. Like I could send an email, but like I would be so surprised if it got even close to happening. Is of course Jason Kelce, former center, first ballot Hall of Famer for the Philadelphia Eagles, to play a game about honestly, if we were to play make up a fictional neighborhood of Philly and talk about the things that we love about the city, that would be great. Or like play a movie about like boxing or like a sports thing that's not football, but to get into that spirit of like what brings us to the love of sport. Like, I think that would be an amazing conversation, amazing game, amazing interview. The other one that I would point towards is also another Philly guest, but like David Cornsweet, like, is right there and is Superman. And like, I can't not answer the guy that is Superman.
It's true. It's true. Sometimes I think about the fact that when he got cast as Superman, I only knew him from playing the asshole in Twisters, which is the lackluster sequel to Twister. So
I
was just like,
that he
what?
was. I forgot that he was. Here's how bad Twisters is. I forgot he was in Twisters. I'm now looking at this movie and remembering that this is. I'm now remembering A, details of this movie, and B, like that he was in this film. What if this I'm allowing this to be. This is the spirit of the show, is allowing these conversations to go. The thing in Twisters that made me so mad, and that I live in forever, is. Or the thing that truly made me be like, I don't think this movie got a second draft. Like, there's a sequence at the end, and you'll know this sequence, having seen the film. The sequence at the end when they're in the movie theater.
Yes.
There's a series of shots that they show you 3 shots in sequence. They show you the movie theater seats that people are like seated in / like huddled under. The screws are being lifted and the seats are being lifted off of the ground. Then they show you, I think it's like vents are starting to collapse in, or like the windows, like the walls are like they show you a series of structural things that indicate to you that the building is not going to withstand what is coming. Mm-hmm. Then they have a character look you dead in the screen, like look into the screen and say the words, "This place is not built for what is about to come." And I was like, what the fuck is wrong? Like, this place is not built for what is to come. Like, anyway.
I'm pretty sure that was Anthony Ramos, which people might know him from Hamilton and In the Heights. And so, like, he's not a bad actor. Yeah.
He's great. He's a good actor. And to look at to just have that. Anyway, we can continue on the conversation, but I need that noted on mic, and this felt like the right opportunity to let that rip.
Yeah, it feels appropriate that an interview in conversation with the host of Party One, we can meander a little bit, because Party One's about, showcasing.
It's about the conversation.
Exactly. It's perfect. Okay, I know we are coming up on probably the end of our time to talk. I'm going to hit you with a few rapid fire questions.
Hit me with a few rapid
fire. So do you have a timer for the length of the opening hey, or is it instinct?
Almost 5 seconds to the dot. It's very specifically timed to when we start to fade out like the intro music. And like it's timed to that plus about like half a second. It's all freehand, like I just sort of do it until it feels right, but I do have an eye on the Audacity timer, and it's about 5 seconds.
Makes perfect sense. How did the Pagliacci thing get started?
I don't know. That's the part that's really troubling. Like, I don't have an answer. I think the Pagliacci joke, or Pagliacci, I've been saying Pagliacci my whole life, and I
genuinely don't know. This is the first time I've said that out loud.
I'm not, I've been told I pronounce it wrong, but like, that's how I've pronounced it my whole life. I just think that that's a funny joke, and that like,
well, it is.
I don't know why iterations of that joke in particular always, like, why anytime I see a joke format, I'm like, it's really funny to make this about a sad clown. I don't know. I wish I knew.
It's a funny joke. I think it's great, and you should keep making that joke.
Again, much like Party of One, I'm going to do it until it stops being funny, but like, God damn it, it still makes me laugh. The one I've been rehoming my tweets onto Blue Sky as like a conservation effort of just like, this was a banger tweet. I don't want to lose it when I eventually yeah, I'll just repost it, just post it to Blue Sky and be like, I'm giving this a new home. The one I just reposted that I'm very proud of is Coach McGurk, and it just says, listen, Brendan, it's great comedy. You probably don't get it because you're a kid. Kids don't get jokes. He's a clown, Brendan. He's a great clown, and he's sad. It's funny. Also, doctor didn't know it was him, told him to go see himself. It's a comedy of errors, Brendan. Just makes me laugh. Good. Just makes me laugh like nobody's business.
It's like I knew where it was going because I've seen that tweet before, but when you hit, he's a clown. It's funny.
He's a clown. He's sad. It's funny. The one that really hits me is it's a comedy of errors, Brendan.
It's really good. Oh, okay. Another quick one. Rank the Green Lanterns in order of who would be the best romantic partner.
Oh, best romantic partner. Obviously, last in a bullet is Kyle Rayner. It's listed on the Batman Bump in the Night Miro board with a thing under his name that says "Girl Run." He is Kurtz.
That is so funny.
Narrow, like the thing is, like there are so few good options because, like, immediately after that is Hal and Guy in kind of an interchangeable order because, like, either of those, like, you don't have to run for fear of death, but like, just run in general. I think the answer is probably, and then like, there's a lot of them that I don't know well enough to rank, like your Simon Baz's and your Jessica Cruz's and your Joe Mullane's. John feels like a good safe bet. Like that's just he's got a propensity for two timing, so like I don't love that. Anyway, the correct answer is unfortunately Booster Gold.
Unfortunately, oh my god. That's great.
All right, you can tell from years on the Justice League International, he is loyal to his boyfriend if he falls in love.
That's true. Okay. All right. We'll give it to him. It's kind of one of those win by default things.
Yeah.
That's fine. All right. Okay. Last rapid fire one is shout out a couple other pieces of media that you are currently enjoying.
Other pieces of media I'm currently like about a third of the way through a binge watch of The Goldbergs, and it's just a really top tier like family sitcom. Wendy McClendon Covey is really doing like all-time work. I would have said Reno 911 would have been her at her best, but she's really doing like all-time career great work. It's incredible the level of talent that they got out of like a group of child actors. Like the casting director deserves all of the praise in the world for finding a series of comic actors that like can ground an entire show, but like not in a way where it like they feel like human in a way that is really, and also they have genuine comic timing in a way that like child actors rarely do. It's incredible. The other show that I will shout out that like I loved almost to a baffling degree, like I truly was not ready to love this, was we watched all of the TV show Ted, the TV show adaptation of the Seth MacFarlane Teddy Bear movie. I was not I went into that I saw a clip on TikTok and it really got a gut laugh out of me. So I was like, I'm going to watch it, but like, I can't imagine that this hits. And it hit so hard and is so funny. Ted really got me in a way that like I was not ready for.
I never could have guessed in a million years what show you were about to say.
I would not. I truly like saying it out loud. Like I have not been ready for it. But like, then we watched the movies, and like the first movie's pretty bad or like fine. The second movie's actually pretty like good, okay to good-ish. But like the TV show just consistently like knocked it out of the park with some really like weird, surreal, funny jokes that like really consistently hit. I wasn't ready for it.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome. That's awesome. I think I hit like most of the questions that we got, Jeff. So this has been a great conversation to have. Is there anything else you want to say to people or let people know about before we go?
Gosh, I don't think so. Just other than just to say this place wasn't built for what is to come. That's really, I think I think like as this is, I think like we'll probably do a live stream at some point, but like this is kind of the last piece of the 10th anniversary special. And so like, thank you all for 10 years. Audrey, thank you for hanging out and for being a friend and a collaborator and a peer and a guest. And like, thank you for taking the time to do this. I just would like, this was exactly what I wanted. And you were the exact person that I wanted to do it with in terms of like getting to chill with a friend who also knows the experience of podcasting and can like see the inner workings of the questions. Like this was a joy. Getting to celebrate 10 years with the audience and with friends was also a joy. And yeah, just kind of, keep doing it until it stops being fun. Party on.
10 more years, Jeff. 10 more years.
10 more years. Let's keep it going. Let's see where we're at in 20.
Well, that sounds great. Thanks so much again for having me, Jeff, and congratulations on 10 years.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you all for listening. Thank you for your questions. I'm going to skip all of the usual stuff. You can find all of the usual links in the usual places. But everybody, thank you for listening. Remember to fight the forces of fascism every single day. Remember that self-love and self-care are radical and defiant acts of resistance. And until next time, party on, everybody.